Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and here we have Granny Square Fever. A lot of our Wednesdays lately have been dedicated to granny squares, which is a fun way to crochet. Don't worry, there will be more knit and dulcimer and nature videos mixed in with these, but stay tuned. I may be creating a separate playlist for knit and crochet. Granny squares, what's my obsession with them? I'll say when I started crocheting, it took me until my freshman year of college to get a row of single crochets to end up straight. And then I immediately did a blanket that was entirely single crochet. It weighed about 1,000 pounds and I never used it. I never even completely sewed it together. It was awful, but it was a monumental achievement for me. And then I sat down and said, why am I making blankets? My mother makes blankets. I have a sister who makes blankets, and I have two sisters who crochet, cross stitch these gorgeous pictures. I don't want to do cross stitch. What can I do? And I found making doilies. Thread crochet was my thing, and thread crochet led me into filet crochet, which led me into granny squares. And I had an old book. I have no idea if it was the 70s, the 80s, the 60s. I think it's a Better Homes and Gardens book on things to make with granny squares. And I fell in love with it. It's modular. So my artistic side loves the granny square, the creation, and my math and logical side loved putting them all together to make different things. So lately we've been reviewing the Granny Square All-in-One by Red Heart and Yarn Inspirations. We have had some, it's all messed up, friends. Let's see, our hexagon granny sweaters. And so I wanted to introduce a new modern book on granny squares. Sort of. It's Granny Crochet. Notice it doesn't say granny squares. So if you really like to think out of the box, this could be the video for you. Grannies don't have to all be square. No. Granny Crochet is too hip to be square. Awkward. This is a decent sized book. You can see. There's my hand. It's a decent sized book. It's got a harder cover, but it's still a paper cover. It is published by David and Charles. In the US, it is $25. They do have a book on 3D granny squares and something they're calling 100 crochet tiles. I did not see those books. This was one of my vacation purchases. Very excited to get it. It is by Julia Madill, again, published by David and Charles. That's just davidandcharles.com. How is their table of contents? Well, it's pretty nice. Not quite up to our regular snuff that we like. I do like that the sections are done in bold and that they have these numbers here. These appear to be page numbers, and in fact, they are. But surprise to you, you'll be confused as soon as you open the book because each of these grannies is also given a number that has nothing to do with their page number. So there's two numbering systems going on. These are the page numbers. It's pretty easy to find them. I would honestly love these to be bigger or simpler. Like the basics. Why are basics? Why is that not bold? See how big these are? If these were big and bold, this would be. If these were as big as this and this was as bold as that, table of contents would be a lot better. Let's see. Now I mentioned page numbers. Where are they? Not here. There's a little welcome. She's letting you know the inspiration for this book was born out of necessity. Yeah, she was making a square vest, a granny square vest, when she needed a new shape, something that was non-square, and she tried to find it and couldn't, so she made her own book. That's the short. I feel like that's a little obsessive, but you definitely see there's a new place to start. Now here is one of the strengths of the books. Start me up. Beginning your journey. It shows you the many ways to begin. Whether you want the slip knot, chain, the foundation chain, working it into the foundation chain. Then there's ring me up a foundation ring. And then whoa, oh, oh, it's magic, the magic ring. Cute, clever, pain in the butt. Tell me what you are. I don't like this cutesiness. I wanted to say slip knot, chain foundation. I don't know why it doesn't just give the names, why it has to be cute. There are tips in these little colored boxes. And wait, there's our page number. So the page number is not on every page. Is it on every right-hand page? feel like it's not. No, it's not on every right-hand page, but it is on most. It is on no left-hand page, but it is always in that upper right-hand corner if indeed it does appear. So that's a little annoying, right? Just saying, that's a little annoying. I do like the color diagrams. It's different for each one, but she doesn't differentiate the colors up here. So the color pictures are underneath, but you can see like the first one, there's a huge gap between these. I want the title of what it is down here, and perhaps those titles. That it just needs cleaned up in my mind to make it more accessible. We're crocheting or learning a new skill. We want it to be easy peasy. Here is something they're doing then. Keeping it brief, they're giving us abbreviations. Again, we don't have to be this cutesy. Give us the abbreviations that you're using. And it says stitches, please, and then it tells you your basic stitches. Then we have the slip stitch, let it slip, slip stitch, chain reaction, chain stitch. I don't understand this cutesy language at all. Tell me what it is. Chain stitch, give me the abbreviation. Single loving, no, just say single crochet and give me the abbreviation and the diagram. It is nice because it gives you written directions as well as picture directions. Case in point though, they're all tonal. So it's a light blue on a dark blue. That's going to be hard for some people to see. I appreciate that it's not just black and white, that the yarn is actually outlined so it looks like yarn. That's a great help, but I wish it'd been two very contrasting colors, if that makes sense, and definitely not ones that blended together for people with vision problems. It does tell you about double crochet, treble crochet, and then it says alternate starts. Why aren't these starts in with the other starts? I have no idea. The chainless beginning double crochet, the standing double crochet. Again, it for some reason has a weird catchy title instead of just giving it to you. Then there is a good to know. The most common way to begin the granny stitch round or row is with a chain of 3, stand in for the first double crochet. Not satisfied with the chain masquerading as a stitch, try one of these alternatives. That's great, but that should have been in the beginning. I wish. I guess I could argue either way because, let's see. I mean, one starts with a double crochet, and if you haven't learned the double crochet yet, there's no point. But the other one starts with a slip stitch, but doesn't. But it does that before it gives you the slip stitch. So I don't know. I definitely have some issues there. Gauge, it talks a lot about gauge. There's lots of great tips. The tips are also bulleted out for you. That's nice. And she has a lot of these pictures in here to get you excited. It's probably why the book is expensive. It's because there's photographs on every page. It then talks about the right and wrong side. We've talked about that in a number of our Granny Square videos as well. And then it has journing and turnarounds. Why would you need to turn and how? If we're making these alternate shapes, we may need to be able to turn them and not just work in our normal circular-ish round format. And so that's why the right and wrong side is going to matter. And some of them, if you're going to mix and match these shapes, and one is a right side all, and the other one is an alternating, because one's worked in the round and one is worked in rows, you're going to need to come up with a plan. And she will teach you in here how to do various ways of granny squares. And one is actually turning it, even though it's rounds, just so you have that in place. Then she has how to read the diagrams. Diagrams like this, if you've ever seen them, did they confuse the pants off you? Like here's a starting chain. See those loops? There's the corner chain. These are double crochets with the line on them. That's your one yarn over. It looks like it's starting with a magic loop. So there are things to know. It's going to tell you that. It gives you the symbol key. Oh, it doesn't call it a magic loop. It calls it a magic circle. Yeah, I know. It then discusses colors. How do you want them? How do you change colors? What different colors do you want? And it talks a lot about low contrast, high contrast. Don't reinvent the wheel. This is all worked out for you. What are you going to want in your project? Neutral, kitschy. Then we have the shapes, and it's going to tell you some tips. There's 50 different ways to get granny square shapes. The instructions are all written in US crochet technology. If I did not say that before now, I apologize. This is a USA book. It's a USA channel, even though we've got servant of God John Bradburn here, who was a British man who served the Lord in a leper colony in Zimbabwe. Okay, so maybe it's not so obvious that I have US terms here. But this is all in US terms. The classic granny. There's a cute little bit over here. It gives you pictures. This is more of your low contrast. This is more of your high contrast going on here. And then we have the directions. Versions 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this, even though it's saying it's the classic, it's going to give you 3 versions. The corner join, the side join, the slip stitch corner, and the half double crochet join. At the end, there's a picture with a circle around it showing you where each of those joins are and what you may like. So you can see it's going to have written directions as well as a diagram for you and some tips to modify. Almost every pattern has some sort of tips given. That's something that's really nice. Also over here under our page number, it does tell you what section we're on. Square 1, haha. Just say chapter 1. Quit being so cutesy. Let's see here. Granny stitch rounds and rows. So this project actually looks like it's a cup holder of some sort, and this one's flat, so it's going to talk more about shapes. You don't normally see granny square books with this much talk about different techniques. So beyond the shapes, this is going to give you a lot of information. And then finally, Granny 3 is diagonal half and half square. What? I'll show you the sampler at the end so you can kind of see. But look, the diagrams are also color-coded. What? That's amazing, right? And then again, our modifying and then some quick tips over here. There's a 4 square. Let's see. So we have variations on a square. There's 4 color square, offset square. This is going to make your eyes hurt. But I know a lot of people like these. They try and use them for mosaics. Then we have a circle inside a square, a log cabin square. If you're familiar with the quilting term log cabin, you're going to know what that is. The tilted spiral square. That's the tie-dye. Yeah, they tell you how to do that. That's a little intense for me, sorry. Mitered square, diamond inside a square, acute triangle. I'm not joking. Oh, 3 sides of charm is this chapter. Acute triangle, which honestly looks a bit like pizza. Equilateral triangle, half diamond triangle, half diamond triangle 2, half square triangle 1. I'll just tell you, yes, there's an obtuse triangle. Then we get into circular shapes, half circles, quarter circles, flowers, ovals, egg-shaped, heart-shaped, arch, so like a rainbow. Yeah, that's in here. They have them. Tulips, which I think look more like Chinese fortune cookies or partially eaten pizza, or the Millennium Falcon. I don't know. It doesn't look like a tulip to me. Teardrops, like a water drop, very nice. Ornament, a half ornament, so like the glass ornaments. I'm not sure how you'd use these other than ornaments. I don't know if they fit together. I wonder if they modular fit together or not. But then there's a half ornament, so possibly. Leaves, triads. So there's some 3-dimensional shapes. Then it does also have, it has a different form of a pentagon, a hexagon, half hexagon, another half hexagon, octagon, zigzags, trapezoids. These blow my mind. Trapezoids. It's just wrong. Just wrong. A boot. Small 5-pointed stars. I think these stars could work up lovely baby blankets or a cozy thing for your house. 6-pointed stars. Untangling rectangles. How to do your calculations, gauge, number of rounds. Then there's basic rectangles. There's a number of them. Half rectangles, parallelograms, mitered corner rectangle. How to finish them. It talks about methods of blocking. So this is at the back, methods of blocking. Seaming, there's a number of methods of seaming. And again, this one does have pictures with contrasting threads for the photos. So that's very helpful. Join as you go method is listed. And then it talks about borders. If you want to see some of the squares, if you're me and a little overwhelmed visually, look away. But otherwise, what? Look at, that's hardly even a good representation of the 50 different squares that are in here. But you can see some of them can get a little 3D depending on how they're put together and what your colors are. That is a full, does give you a full directions to make that one particular blanket. There's only that one sampler. I thought there was going to be more. There's only that one. Then there is a brief section about the author, a little thank you, and a nice index section. Ta-da! Oh, we'll have the author in there. And a nice index section. So there you go. Again, I wish she had some more contrasting colors. She kind of blends into the background there, but maybe red is her favorite color. So that's my review. Lots of high points in this book, some things that I would tweak to make it just more clear. It's really cutesy, and I would take it up another level to make increase the clarity and ease of use. So every way with Granny Crochet. And if you've seen my video on the Granny Heart, you know I have used this book. I can just tell you some about it here. Yeah, you're going to want to read those to modify and the stats. I don't know why I wouldn't have called it the stats, but they are like top tips. Read those before you attempt to do one of these. That's really my direction there. Pay attention to those, to the modify and those top tips. They call them stats. Read those. Read your directions in entirety first. You're not going to understand all of it, but there may be tips worked in there that you need to see. And these to modify and stats are off to the side, but you need to read them first. Anything that's not just straight up in the written directions, read before you attempt it. It's going to save you a lot of time. They are more important. I think they should have come first before the pattern, but you could argue that all day. People are going to want that differently. Just know that you need to read those. Just trust me on that. There's a lot of information there. It minimizes how important they are, but they are wildly important, and you are not going to regret reading them. Friends, may God bless you. I try and air all of my craft, music, and nature videos, very vlog style, Wednesday afternoons at 2. Mondays, I have a variety of book reviews. This one is The Aberration. It's exclusively a craft book, so I put it on Wednesday. And on Fridays, we have how to incorporate our relationship with God into our life. And on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights at 7 p.m., this is all New York time, we read scripture together. So I hope you join us for some of our other videos. But until then, I hope you have a blessed day.